Hey, what's up, Dragon Legion? Hi, hello, Ben. So, Dragoons, today we're going to be doing a CardFight Vanguard deck profile of my current Brawler, Skybeat, Shotgun Brawler deck profile with a couple of new changes here and there, some new things I'm going to be trying here and there, and that is going to be trying now making this deck into a Legion Stride based deck now. Now, this was something I've always kept near me as far as I could. Now, I know Shotgun and Skybeat aren't as great as they used to be, but in my opinion, I think it's still a great deck that's worth to give it a try out, especially if you're a budget player and you want to put together a good Narukami deck, but you don't have the money to be able to put together something really great like the Big Bang Knuckle build. And shockingly, in my opinion, the way how this deck plays out, it actually has some advantages over that build as well. And in my perspective, it can actually go toe-to-toe with those kind of decks as well. Now, this is nowhere as be taken serious as the go-to most competitive deck ever as well, of course. But at the same time, it is still a fun, cool deck. It can still allow you to do some great things here and there. And with the Stride mechanic on its side, while having access to cards like Conquest Dragon, I feel personally Brawlers, Skybeat, Shotgun builds can actually go toe-to-toe with some really nice, interesting decks and allow you to enable you to do some great, huge power push plays, heavy retirement time to time, and it's nonetheless, all in all, it's a really cool deck, and I highly recommend you Dragoons, if you're a budget Narukami player, like even if you don't want to play a Stride build of this deck, just playing a straight-up Legion build, and that's it of this build, it's still a great build. I got this build back when Brawlers were at their best. I got this for $80, so the price of most of these cards went down a lot. So you might be able to pick up a really good budget Brawler deck for up to $50, I believe, as long as you go for this build right here. And you could still go toe-to-toe with a lot of cool, amazing decks. Like, I've been able to test play this deck out, and it's got a lot of nice, nifty plays. Granted, it needs the Stride every now and then, but nonetheless, it is still a really cool deck, and I highly recommend people to give this deck a try, especially if you're a budget player and if you can't afford the Big Bang Knuckle cards. And with that being said, I'll show you Dragoons the profile of the deck, show you Dragoons what I got going on and such, and show you all what's so great about this deck in general. Okay, so here we go. Start off with your Forerunners, you're starting Vanguard. Start off with Brawler fighting Dracokid. He's a Forerunner, so rearguard circle. He has a really nice ability of when your Vanguard first goes into Legion. He has the ability of put a soul in your Vanguard, and until end of turn, your Vanguard gets the ability of if I remember correctly, during your turn, when your opponent's rearguard in front row is put in a drop zone, and your Vanguard is Legion, you may pay the cost, which is counterblast 1. If you do, choose one of your opponent's rearguards in the same column as the rearguard that was on, and retire it until end of turn. So what this means is, let's say you go into a... And what's really nice about this guy is you can pop off just multiple targets. Like, let's say you go to Skybeat's ability to pop a rear guard, use the guy's ability count last one, pop a back or rear guard, then call Skyhowl Dragon, pop off another front row, then his ability will allow you to go off again, count last one, pop off another rear guard. Fighting Dracokid just allows you to have some really interesting options and allow you to just pick off some really good portion of rear guards, especially really well in the hands of the right player. So fighting Dracokid, a really great card in my opinion. It really looks like a kind of card you definitely want to give a try out for. And then for the trigger lineups, we have, of course, your 4 heals. No explanation why the heals are important. And if you Dragoons know my decks for a while, if you Dragoons have been watching my Vanguard content for a very long time, I think you Dragoons will see this one from a very mile away. The 6 criticals and the 6 draw lineup allow me to be equal balance of offense, defense. Draws be defensive, so I can draw into where I really need to draw into most. While criticals, obviously, allow me inflicting as much damage as I possibly can so I can do my stuff. Shut up, phone. So yeah, that's my triggers right there at the moment. And if this was a more competitive deck, if I was trying to take really serious with this deck, I would definitely change up some of the triggers in particular, like have the triggers have certain abilities where they go into my Vanguard, so I can do things in particular, especially that I'm playing certain cards in particular that allow me to Soul Blast. And since this is going to be a Legion-based deck, whatever you Soul Blast could potentially go right back into your deck when you Legion and such. So yeah, that right there was the trigger lineups. For the great ones, we have 4 perfect guards, Wyvern guard Gulds. You don't have to use these. If you want to use the new perfect guards, the damage unflipped ones, that works just fine too. It's really all based upon player's preference, depending on what kind of player you feel like and what format or what deck you normally deal against. I choose. Currently, the reason I'm choosing him over the new perfect guards is only because the current perfect guards are being occupied in my Kaiser's Vermilion deck. That's the only excuse. That's the only reason I have. Other than that, I probably would use the other perfect guards. I'm not too sure, but these guys will get the job done. Help you do some stuff nonetheless. And next up, we have 4 copies of your Stride Enabler, so you can go to instant strides a lot easier. And then next up, we have 3 copies of Brawler Ace. A really nice, really interesting card for this deck right here. For those of you who don't know what he does, is when you use a rearguard circle while your Vanguard is Legion, every time one of your opponent's rearguards is retired, this unit gains 3,000 power till end of turns. And with the amount of combos this deck can do, if you can retire at least 2 rearguards, this dude becomes a 13. Pardon me. This dude either becomes a 13 attacker or a 13 booster that's supporting the front row. But if you get your combos rolling really good, this little dude right here could be swinging out on a total of even much more than just 1,300, which is really ridiculously. And the best part about this, if my ruling is correct, do not take my word for this. If my ruling is correct, if you stride while your Vanguard wasn't Legion before you strode, since your Vanguard it will technically still be Legion, you will still be able to use this guy's ability while you're currently striding at the moment. Again, do not take my word for this. I could be wrong about this ruling. But nonetheless, this is still a very nice 7k booster. Not to mention a 7k attacker. And depending on how many guys you retire while you're in Legion, this guy can grow up to be have some huge, massive power, just swinging and beating down on your opponent, which is just ridiculous. And next, to end off the Grey ones, we have 3 copies of Rising Phoenix. Just like Clamatory Tower Wyvern for my Kakiro, we just call it Rearguard Circle, Soul Blast 2, draw a card. Nothing really too special. Definitely helps the deck out a little bit, because not only gives the deck more draw, more synergy, but it also gives the deck, but since you are Soul Blasting, those cards you Soul Blast, put in your drop zone, could go back into your deck when you want to do more Legion plays. So whatever allows you to get more Legion plays going, it's always very helpful. Especially when you Soul Blast from your Vanguard, can definitely help allow you to come back in your deck. Like, there are games where you will be forced to ride in something that you don't want to ride into. Like, even now and then, there's been games where I was forced to ride into my Perfect Guards for grade 1s. And when that happened, I was like, no big deal. I'll just go to my grade 3, call Rising Phoenix, Soul Blast my Perfect Guard, then go to Legion, use my Legion to get back my Perfect Guard back to my deck. Just fine, just like that. So, Rising Phoenix can definitely be very beneficial for a deck like this. And that is it for the grade 2s. Oh, I'm sorry, grade 1s. Now for the grade 2s. For grade 2s, we have 4 copies of Brawler Wildfist Dragon. All he is a 12k attacker. He gets his 3,000 power as long as your Vanguard has the word Brawler. And about the time your Vanguard reaches the grade 2 or above, your Vanguard, it's guaranteed your Vanguard is going to have the word Brawler. So no matter what, this guy will get your 3k boost, and he will become your 12k attacker about the time your grade reaches the 2. And next up, we have 4 copies of Skyhowl Dragon. Not only he's your Skybeat Dragon's mate, but he's definitely a lot more beneficial other than just being the mate of your Skybeat Dragon. We call it Rearguard Circle, counterblast 1 card to pop off one of your opponent's rearguards in the front row. So this allows you to take out more cards you want to deal with. This allows you to set up for more combos. And in the hands of the right player, this guy can allow you to get around some really annoying combos. And plus, if you are going to be striding every now and then, this also benefits your Conquest Dragon, which I'll get to very shortly. So, and even if you can't utilize Skyhowl for that, Skyhowl is still very great useful to be your mate for your Skybeat Dragon, which is always something that's really great to have around. And then finally, to end off the grade 2 lineup, your Shotgun Dragon's mate, 3 copies of Military Brawler Azul. Azul is kind of reliant on your Vanguard in order to do things in particular, but he is still nonetheless a very useful card, besides of just being the mate of your Shotgun Blow Dragon. He has the ability of, as long as your unit is in Legion, every time your opponent's rearguard is retired, put in drop zone, this unit gets 3,000 power until end of turn. So if you retire 1 card, okay, he becomes a 12k attacker till end of turn. But again, remember, he does gain 3,000 power till end of turn for each rearguard retired. So if you retire only 2 rear guards, he becomes a decent 15k attacker. But if you get some really great combos going on, he becomes a very massive dude supporting your Vanguard, just swinging down your opponent's rear guards, swinging down your opponent's front row, and just allowing you to do some things. Especially, he becomes a lot more powerful when you got Conquest Dragon going on, which, again, I will explain to you very shortly when I get to the Strike deck. So, yeah. But nonetheless, even if you can't find his useful abilities, worst case scenario, he's still a mate for your Shotgun Blow Dragon. So there is still some use even after that. And that right there was the grade 2s. Now for the grade 3s. For the grade 3s, I played 3 copies of Brawler Skybeat Dragon. He's Legion 20k. His mate is Skyhowl Dragon. When his unit first goes into Legion, choose one opponent's rear guards and retire it. Also, it gains the ability that when his unit attacks a Vanguard, this unit gets plus 2,000 power until the end of that battle. So, not exactly the greatest ability you want when it comes to Vanguard in general. But keep in mind, you are retiring one of your opponent's front row for free, which can definitely be which is always very nice to have around. Just the ability where you can just retire stuff with paying nothing in return is definitely very beneficial for this deck, and especially knowing that you can combo off with your Dracokid very well as well. So you can use Dracokid's ability, put him in your Vanguard while this guy is currently your Vanguard, then use your Vanguard Legion, go to your Skyhowl, then use his Legion ability to pop up front row, then use this guy's ability, count as one, pop off another rear guard of that same column, and nonetheless your Skyhowl can now then set you up some really nice plays. And just the fact that you can do some plays without paying anything, so you can still reserve your hand, damage, etc. for later on plays, can definitely help your deck go long ways and allow you to save your consistent plays for something really bigger worth needing your bigger costly abilities. And next up, to end the grade 3s, 4 copies of probably your idea key card of the entire deck. 4 copies of Brawler Shotgun Blow Dragon. Legion 20k. His mate is Military Brawler Isol. Countbass 2. When his unit first goes into Legion, you may pay the cost. If you do, your opponent retires 2. Your opponent retires. I'm sorry. Yeah, your opponent chooses 2 of his or her own rear guards, retire them, and the number of units you have is more than your opponent's. This card gets plus 1 critical until end of turn. So not only this card gives you the benefit, so this card functions a little similar as Radicator Ignition Dragon. It's slightly expensive compared to Ignition, but so much worth it. Not only you get cards back thanks to your Legion, but when you Legion, you can counterblast 2, make your opponent retire 2 rear guards, and then if you have more rear guards than your opponent, after you're done retiring the 2 rear guards, this guy gets a free critical out of nowhere. So right out of the back, this guy allows you to force your field presence. This guy, you can set up your field presence real quick, then go to Legion, and then when you start swinging with this guy, you can just swing your opponent, which is big, huge numbers, and that 1 extra critical can either be very beneficial and lead you that much closer to game, or it can force out your opponent to waste up some very important resources, because that 1 extra critical, depending on the game state, especially knowing the fact that your Twin Drive could lead you another critical or 2, could force your opponent out to waste some serious resources just to block out this guy's attack. And then once they reset the resources, then next turn you can just go right into your strides and just proceed to wreck your opponent's day right after that. And also he has a really nice ability when he attacks your opponent. When his unit attacks, and the rear guard you have is more than the opponent, which you probably will after this guy's ability. He gains 2,000 power while attacking. So, yeah, Shotgun Blow Dragon is a very nice, nifty card, and I really like Shotgun Blow Dragon very much. And that is it for the main deck. Now for the strides. For the strides, it's pretty much 2 Lightning Dragonite Soraras. Just a typical generic Narukami guy, destroyed in 2. Has a really nice ability. Whenever this guy attacks his opponent's Vanguard, your opponent chooses one of his or her own rear guards, retires it, and you choose 2 cards from your opponent's drop zone to be bind base up. Not only allows you to take your rear guards on your opponent's side of the field, but at the same time, it can, if you're up against someone who happens to play a Legion-based deck, this can also hurt some quite bad Legion decks. I don't ultimately go into this guy. He's just someone who I go into the most when I need to stride into before I go into my Conquest Dragon. And speaking of Conquest Dragon, we play 4 copies of Conquest Dragon. Yeah, we played this me nasty boy. Conquest Dragon, for those who do not know what he does, Persona Flip 1, choose one of your opponent's rear guards in front row to be retired, and then during your turn, all your front row units gain 5,000 power for each open rear guard circle. So, not only gives you another card of option to retire all of this guy's ability, but also at the same time, it gives you the really huge gnarly ability of giving all your front row guys 5,000 power for each open rear guard circle in the front row. And you retire 2 rear guards, this guy in your front row can be swinging at with additional 10,000 power, swinging at your opponent's Vanguard ridiculously. And I was mentioning earlier with my rear guards earlier such. Remember how I was mentioning how they gain even more power every time rear guards retire? Well, not only do they have their own abilities where they boost themselves up and or each other every time a rear guard is retired, but also they go well with Conquest Dragon, because Conquest Dragon will also boost their power as well, along with himself, making your board potentially a very huge swinging heavy duty field where your opponent may have a huge time blocking off your attacks and may even force your opponent to let all your attacks go through just because they either don't have cards to guard with, or they may be forced to even use up their perfect guards just to block all these serious heavy duty attacks. The only thing that would make these guys even any better than they are right now is giving them the abilities where they gain criticals and such, and that would pretty much seal the deal of making these Stride Narukamis even more broken. And then everything else I played for Strides, just 1 Snow Elemental and 1 Miracle Elemental. Nothing really too special about that. And yeah, Dragoons. That right there was my Brawler Narukami Legion Stride deck profile. It has gone through a couple of changes since the last time I've done profile this deck. It's still a fun deck I have fun with. I do plan on getting together the Big Bang Knuckle deck. It will take some time. I did pick up a couple cards for that deck not too long ago. All I need to finally complete the deck is the grade 3s and the Brawler Strides, and the deck should be all set, and I should have a Brawler profile of that deck on the channel very shortly. But nonetheless, I'm very glad I still kept this deck together. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna lie, I have had thoughts about potentially parting off with this deck just so I can potentially buy off whenever other Narukamis I still need to complete my Big Bangs, while also buying other Kagero Narukamis I've been wanting to get. Just things happen. If it comes down to that, it's not the end of the world. I will make sure, if I do sell off the deck, I will make sure it is a person who will value this deck very, very closely as well. Of course, I'm keeping the Strides, of course, yes. But as for the main deck, I will have to part that off if it comes down to that. But again, if it happens, it happens. I'm not going to make a big deal out of it if I do end up parting it off. So, with that being said, let me know what Dragoons think about this deck profile in the comment section down below. And I'll see you Dragoons around. Hope you Dragoons enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and a favorite if you did, and share this video with other people. It really helps me out a lot. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr. Subscribe today to become part of the Dragon Legion Alliance. And I'll see you Dragoons another day. Christian Dragoon, signing out. Peace.